9 to go old school racing for today's night of Thursday night action here for the iRacing Stock Car Association ButtKicker Cup Series. Welcome one and all to North Wilkesboro Speedway, the oldest dated track on the service back in 1987. For the Cheerwine 200 here at the track. 200 laps sees us getting ready to go racing here today. Track is looking a very crisp 98 degrees down there on the surface right now. Quite impressive considering it is the 1st of April in Sim and approaching one of the hottest points of the day. Nola Ripple coming to you live with Brian Britt beside me in the commentary box. Al Kozlowski seems to be enjoying some sunshine out today. Brian, this is always a track that people come for, expected a lot of good action. Smaller field than usual today. No doubt, though, we're still to see a lot of thrills.
Oh, yeah, I do believe it's going to be some great racing tonight. We have a lot of great talent out there in the field, and I'm excited to be here and glad I got the invite to come join you guys. Hopefully I don't disappoint. Glad to be here.
We'll be right back to bring you qualifying or what's left of it. For now, though, let's take a quick break and pay the sponsors their dues.
ButtKicker. Feel what you've been missing. Get yours today at thebuttkicker.com and be sure to use our 20% discount promo code ISCA20.
Practice is over and qualifying is just beginning to get underway. Already, some cars very eager to take to the track. It looks like Clayton Hoffman is going to be one of the first drivers to bring that 92 machine across the start-finish line to start his first out of what these drivers have two for their qualifying laps. Obviously, the second one we are expected to be a bit faster. The first one, tires not going to be quite at the temperature just yet.
For sure, and Clayton Hoffman is actually tied for the lead in the championship points right now, so it's curious to see if this strategy is going to pay off going out early like this. You usually want to wait a little bit.
Now got on top of the boards, but the question is, will he stay there? That's almost 2/10 slower than his fastest practice lap. Colton Harvey's the next driver to log his time in. A good quarter of a second slower, though, with an 18.4 dead. So Colton Harvey has got to step at the pace if he wants to maybe take away that provisional pole position. And new man on the top of the boards, Jonathan Delaney, logging in the first 17-second time that we have seen all day long, a 17.989. Nobody has set that in practice, and he's the first one to get it done in qualified and promptly spins out on his second lap of a turn 4, coming to the line. Still, though, very valiant effort from that 13 car to get that car up onto the front row.
Definitely, for sure, and it took a lot of skill to keep that car off that inside wall, too. He didn't hurt anything.
About 9 of the 27 drivers registered to run today have set the times. While we're waiting for some more of the times to come on in, let's go over the point standings a bit more. You already mentioned, Brian, about how Boyd Hogan and Clayton Hoffman tied for the points lead coming into the first race of the second half of the season. Dan Chamoun just 5 points back in the third position after taking his first win last week at Gateway. Jonathan Delaney sits in the 4th place, but not by much, still only 10 points. Tanner Love rounds out the top 5, so it is still an incredibly tight points battle as we enter the second half of the season.
For sure, and right now we're seeing Boyd Hogan actually taking the second spot over right now. Looks like that's what he's going to be able to do is get that second spot. He also broke the 17-second, hitting a 17.996.
That is going to put him just 0.06 of a second off of Jonathan Delaney's time. So close, yet so far for Boyd Hogan. Looks like he'll be trying to start on the first row, but on the outside line. James Mullins goes to third place. Mullins is one of those drivers that is very, very quick, especially in the early stages. Boyd Hogan likes to conserve his tires for more speed on the long run. So we'll have to see which of the two strategies will play out today. Still, Mullins is on a charge in qualifying. He's sitting in third.
It looks like Eric Kling just turned the fifth fastest lap with the 18.171, so he's going to be into the top 5 now. Looks like that's about everybody qualifying. Oh, we have some late qualifier here, Greg, which I can barely say his name. I do apologize.
That'll be Greg Wachinski in that number 2 machine, logging himself 15th fastest on the boards. About midfield, but that is second to last. The cars that are qualified. Check that is logged himself up into the top 10, just barely though with an 18.288.
But because it's such a short track, I mean, these guys still do have a little bit of time. They can still get a lap in.
No time to get some more time in. The question is, will drivers like to do that? Some drivers do like to kind of just, play it safe and kind of keep it far in the back where they can avoid some of the wrecks. David Gervais is a latecomer in that number 5 car. He has just exited the pits to take the green flag, coming through 3 and 4. Right now, he's got 40 seconds, so I don't think he will have enough time to get in 2 laps. He's going to have to make this one count.
He definitely will. It's just 1 lap, and that's it. But like you were saying, people want to start in the back. I don't know how good of a strategy that is. I mean, it's so hard to pass at this track, and really the only way to pass is if they wreck in front of you.
It's a very hard track indeed. Yeah.
I mean, I remember when this track first came onto the service, it seemed like it had a lot more 2-groove potential. But here right now, with the present package, it just seems like it's only 1 groove.
Checker flag flies. Gervais does not get his second lap around. Qualifying is complete. We'll take a listen at the national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets regular, the bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
And now, for the most famous words in motorsports. Drivers, start your engine!
The command to start the engines has been given. Let's take a run through your starting grid coming into tonight's race for the Cheerwine 200 at North Wilkesboro Speedway. Starting us off on pole position today is going to be Jonathan Delaney, the fourth place points runner, who is definitely trying to retake the top step. Currently tied with Clayton Hoffman for the lead as Boyd Hogan starting on row 1 outside lane. James Mullins is sitting in the third position right now. One of the final drivers before the points topple out of the 20 range. Joshua Schofner starts in the fourth position just beside him. The top 5 is rounded out by Eric Kling with Chris Johnson starting 6th. AJ Russell and Greg Wachinski starting 7th and 8th. Rounding out the top 10 is going to be Dan Shamoon and Colton Harvey. Row 6 holds Brooks Dirting and Brian Johnson. Justin Belmonte and Brian Johnson. Excuse me, I've realized the lineups have maybe read this out all wrong. It is Kenny Powell and Mullins to line up in row number 7, with row 8 being David Gervais and Clifton Cockrell. Continuing down the order, outside the top 20 now is Chad Sullivan with Jeff Shupp beside him in the 22nd position. Jaden Profit in 23rd with Will Barlow in 24th. Cecil Keith and Paul Olson round out 25th and 26th. Rounding out a 28-car field today is Cam Davidson and Kyle Labrie. Kyle Labrie, of course, not going to be making the start. He has missed the griding call. If he does make it out, he'll be starting from the pit lane here, Brian.
Yeah, he definitely will. He's definitely maybe might regret that, because these guys come around this track pretty fast, and you'll find yourself a lap down really in a hurry.
2 pacing laps, of course. The pace car has yet to lead them around one more time before we go green flag racing here in North Carolina, and what is one of the arguably one of the best short tracks that has ever lived. And we're certainly happy to see it living on here in iRacing as well. Your final thoughts here, Brian, before we go green flag racing.
I think this is the calm before the storm here, Nolan. This is going to be a crazy restart. We got a lot of talent up here, and I do believe this is going to be one for the ages right here.
It absolutely will. Just half a lap to go before we go green flag racing. Not a very long half a lap, though. The official iRacing 4 Mustang pace car going to lead them through turns 3 and 4 as he pulls off into pit lane. It is going to be in the hands of Jonathan Delaney. Pace car pulls off. We're ready to go racing. Jonathan Delaney gets on the loud pedal. We're green flag racing in North Carolina.
It looks like Boyd Hogan had a better start than Delaney did. He's actually going to try to take the lead right here. And I think he might get it, because you usually have the advantage on the start on the top.
So Boyd Hogan picks up the lead early from the outside lane. Not something we really expected to see or coming into this race, but certainly the start that Boyd Hogan wanted to have. Delaney trying to get to the back end already, but he's got to worry more about James Mullins, who is all over him in that number 6 car. You really got to make up the spots early before the field starts to kind of split off and run away, because if you end up getting held up, you are in a world of hurt when it comes to trying to make up time.
And we have some 3-wide racing back in the back. These guys are running really hard. 15th, 16th position. We're 3 wide there. They're about to go 3 wide again. It's just all kinds of craziness further back in the field.
You're, of course, referred to Justin Belmonte and David Gervais, who are running side by side still for spots kind of further towards the back at the edge of the top 20. Still a lot of good battles going on all over the field, as always in the league. It certainly would not be a proper ISCA race if you didn't have some action going on further at the tail end of the field as well. It shows that it's not always what you see up front that matters. Colton Harvey is trying to fend off John Mullins in that 64 machine around the outside line, getting so close to the outside wall.
These guys are not giving each other any room, and the thing is they're only 5 laps into the race.
5 laps in, and still the tempers are already starting to flare on up, as they so often do with short track racing. Nobody really stays happy for long in these races. Everybody it really starts to get hot-headed very, very quickly, especially if you try to drive the way John Mullins was driving. Really pinched Justin Belmonte and actually forced the left side of the car into the grass a little bit in turn 2 a couple laps ago. So that has forced Belmonte to now have to go on the defensive against David Gervais in the number 5.
And right now we have Kenny Powell fighting on the inside, trying to clear the 27 of Brooks Dirting. And I think he's going to get it done here. fighting for that 12th position.
Kyle picks up 12th from the 27 machine. The Toyota Camry definitely going to try to continue to run him down. It will not be a very easy fight, though. For Brooks Dirty, he's one of those drivers who tends to be more of a midfield runner throughout the course of the race. He's got potential to be a top 10 driver, but he really has got to put the work in to make it happen.
For sure, and that just could be, you know, not taking enough track time. Practically.
Oh, triple trouble. Justin Belmonte spun around in turn 2. No caution, spun all by himself, trying to check up big time to avoid John Mullins. One more car still sideways on the back straightaway. We might get our first caution of the night here. Dalton Collins stopped in the infield.
Oh my goodness, Dalton Collins is sitting in the grass. He's going to be respectful and wait for everybody to go before he tries to turn this car around. Dalton's known for a good bit of talent. Oh, it looks like he's going to tow. That's going to take a lot of time off of him. He's going to be several laps down after this all comes out.
No doubt Dalton Collins is not happy at all about the fact that that was not a caution, but he was off of the racing surface. So iRacing deemed it to be a safe place to have the car stop and did not ever throw a yellow flag for Collins being stopped in the infield grass down to the back straightaway. So Collins has taken it to the hauler and he has left the facility. And certainly probably not a happy camper about how that one played out.
Definitely not. I mean, if we had to interview him, there might be some expletives in there.
Oh, yeah, I imagine that.
But right now, Jonathan Delaney's under fire from James Mullins. Mullins is all over that back bumper, getting ready to strike on that opportunity there, all over him.
And Mullins is certainly crowding Jonathan Delaney and making sure that all he can see in his mirrors is that number 6 machine. There Mullins goes, diving to the inside. Delaney lets him have the room, and Mullins is going to pick up the second position. Now there's nobody standing between James Mullins and Boyd Hogan. And these two have been longtime rivals. They have gone back and forth for the points lead so many times in just the last season. So it's always a thrill when you see these two drivers get right up next to each other because, oh boy, the competition gets fierce when you put those two in the same box.
Well, I could definitely see that for sure. But right now, we do have a pretty good charger. Dan Shamoon's been passing a couple cars here. Right now, he's setting his sights on A.J. Russell.
But Dan Shamoon has been trying to work his way up through the field. Of course, Shamoon, last week's winner at Gateway, trying to see if he can pick up one more here in North Wilkesboro, but it's going to be very difficult to do so as Boyd Hogan is 1.5 seconds away from just the second place driver. Shamoon's currently up 1 from where he started today. He might have to be more concerned about Brian Johnson, though, who's right now has made up the most positions. Well, check that has been Cam Davis, and he made up the second most amount of positions with 5, and he's looking to try to make it one more as Shamoon goes up the inside of A.J. Russell. Oh, my goodness me, and they nearly touch.
I'll tell you that one of the people that probably has the most concern and anxiety going on in their brain right now would have to be Justin Belmonte, seeing Boyd Hogan starting to catch up to be able to get that lap away from him after that mess up of his.
He's not the only driver. Already the leaders are starting to catch lap traffic on just lap number 19. Really does show you such a big performance gap there is between various drivers in the field with their skill levels varying so greatly. The fact that Hogan's already able to catch up to lap traffic, something you really don't see at any other racetrack unless you're at a place like Bristol or Martinsville.
For sure. I mean, and this track is, I even kind of liken it to a small Iowa. You wouldn't think it would, it would be that fast to be able to lap somebody, but Boyd's just such a fast driver. I mean, he always showcases his skill in every race he jumps in.
Battle on for 9th place. A.J. Russell's trying to fend off Brian Johnson around the outside line, but that 73 is having a really tough go at it. He's doing a great job of trying to hang on, but Brian Johnson, it looks like that inside line is still reigning supreme, but look at Russell pull the outside lane to just barely be able to stick side by side. This is hurting Brian Johnson because he is just not able to close into Dan Shamoon. And in fact, A.J. Russell has held that position around the outside.
For sure. I mean, the outside is definitely the best defending line at this racetrack. I mean, at the bottom, you're not able to get all the momentum off the corner, and that guy is able to pinch you down, and you get a little bit loose depending on how your car is set up. So I'd say the top is the best defending line at this racetrack for sure.
It's good defending line at a lot of short tracks, and it's exactly because of what you said. While it's the longer way around the racetrack, you can carry a lot more speed meaning that while the other cars are bogged down at the bottom end of fourth gear off of the corners, you are able to really drive the car as best as you can to try to carry as much speed as you can off the corner and get that run you need down the back straightaway, because you're already going faster when the corner evens out. It's such an important tactic that really crosses over to all forms of racing, not just oval. You can see it in dirt road racing, you can see it in rallycross, you can see it in normal road racing, you can see it especially in sprint car racing.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. Oh yeah, and all forms of dirt racing, any type of racing, really. And the battle's not over. I mean, Brian Johnson and AJ Russell are still fighting right now.
Side by side. They've been side by side for about 5 laps now, these two. Neither one of them wanted to give the other any room to work with. Johnson really wants to take this spot. Russell really does not want to lose it. It is costing them both valuable time, because look in the back. There is Chris Johnson, who has now entered the picture.
And Kenny Powell. So, I mean, it's definitely helping the guys behind him out. Chris Johnson and Kenny Powell are definitely happy to see this. And now, look at this. Chris Johnson is taking the chance here, trying to get around Brian Johnson. Or, I'm sorry, AJ Russell.
Look at how far, though, Brian Johnson has already pulled ahead with just that little bit of time with them not being side by side. That shows you just how much time you lose running side by side with another driver. Chris Johnson now really needs to make sure he doesn't end up in a similar boat. Russell has got to start realizing that maybe the top line, while it will work to defend for a while, you can't just stay on the high side the entire race, because you will, in the end, still lose spots.
For sure. I mean, you just get railroaded after a while. You're giving everybody the opportunity to get that momentum on your top, and it's so much easier to pass on the top anyway. But right now, Boyd Hogan is just putting on a clinic. He has a 1.8 second lead over James Mullen, so James Mullen is losing time to Boyd.
And this is something we often see. Boyd Hogan really has two different types of strategies. He's got the strategy where he falls back in the early stages and conserves his tires for the longer run. He also has a strategy where instead he decides to just go all out really, really early, build himself up build himself a buffer to work with, so that way he's got a lot of time that he can afford to lose back to the cars behind him. It seems like he's going with option number 2.
And we also got some battling going on for 4th and 5th. Looks like Eric Klein got pushed up a little bit into the wall there, a little bit, lost some positions.
Now, Kling looks to have recovered nicely. He is still right on the tail end of Justin Belmonte, who's dropped 2 spots now down to third position, being passed by Boyd Hogan on lap number 1, and then James Mullins following shortly after. Will Barlow is in the infield grass in the back straightaway. What's happened to the number 15? Looks like he might have just gotten loose all by himself. He was in a very fierce fight for spots kind of just outside the top 20, about 18th, 19th, and 20th. They're all still under a blanket right now. Let's actually look down at that battle, because Cam Davidson just passed Wayne Grossi, and every car in that pack has got some sort of damage on their car. So these guys have not been fighting clean here.
Yeah, and they're only 35 laps in. I mean, gosh, that short track mentality just gets to you for sure.
The number always seems like a lot, but when you think about how the fact that it's only been about 15 minutes, if that, since we've gone green, and we've already ticked away 36 laps, it really shows how short these races on the short tracks really are. Boyd Hogan has now caught this battle, and he's likely to split this one up in a hurry.
For sure, and as you can see, like whenever Cam Davison got out in front of those guys, he started leaving. I mean, it just proves the point, like you said earlier, that if these guys are side by side, it's just so hard to keep momentum.
Absolutely, it is.
And now Boyd's gonna have to deal with it.
Yeah, he will. That's the problem as well. If you're a lead lap car, you got to make the decision as to whether you want to, stick behind his lap cars or not. He's lost about 3/4 tenths back to James Mullins on just the last lap and a half alone, because he's being caught up behind those lap traffic. He really needs to get by them as early as he possibly can to make sure that he can, keep that gap extended to the point where Mullins doesn't have a lock on him.
For sure, and you can see just how close he gets. I mean, he's Boyd having to pass these lap cars. I mean, he just passed that 7 car. He got within a paper's edge of hitting that car.
Boyd Hogan doesn't really seem to like to take prisoners when it comes to dealing with lap traffic. He does not like it when they get in his way, and if you do get in his way, oh boy, he is sure to let you know about it. If it's later in the race as well, I've seen him pull some pretty bonsai moves to try to get by lap traffic as early as possible, because he's a driver that really wants to win.
That's for sure. Winning for him is as easy as breathing.
And there's the reason why we have given him the nickname of Boyd hogging all the wins Hogan. He finally got back to victory lane just earlier this season, but he has not been the dominant force that we saw last season at the end of 2020. So he's really got to try to get these wins up so he can really start to work on extending that lead and maybe cap off the season early, just like he did last season, where he won with a whole race left to go still. The battle is on for the 10th position as well. Kenny Powell has reeled in A.J. Russell, and he's got a lot of traffic behind him as well with the likes of Chad Sullivan, with Trey Wachinski, and David Gervais. A lot of drivers that have been fighting really hard since the start of this race. And right now, they're all under a blanket.
And A.J. Russell's definitely been suffering a lot here. I mean, it doesn't seem like maybe his car has the right changes. Hopefully, his crew chief, if he does end up having the pit if a caution comes out, he's able to make some adjustments to that car. It seems like he's definitely struggling.
It's the case with a lot of drivers. I mean, oftentimes, a lot of guys, forget how long these runs can be. A.J. Russell, speak of the devil, he's just clipped the wall, got a bit loose off of turn 2. Now that's going to open the door for Kenny Powell to stick his nose there to try to pick up the 10th spot away from that number 73 car.
And Greg Wisconsin is right there, too. I mean, he might be able to take advantage of this situation.
I don't know. A.J. Russell has really been doing a good job of using that outside line to his advantage, but he just has nothing for it, especially since now he's got a lap car of Jaden Profit that's taking up the room he needs. Powell squeezes Russell up towards the wall.
I mean, these lap cars are definitely going to start acting like picks here and causing, that hot top line might be the fastest, but there's a car there. What are you supposed to do?
And lap cars can only go so many different directions, and it seems like most of the guys do prefer the inside line. Russell is really the only driver we've really seen, really utilize that outside line. Oh, and he's just got tapped by Wachinski.
He saves it, though. Does not touch the wall. That's a way to pass, I guess, isn't it? Short track racing.
I mean, hey, in Wachinski's fairness, Wachinski had the line, and Russell was starting to come on down, so nothing Wachinski really did wrong in that sense. No caution, we're still green. We're already, though, almost a quarter way through this race, 200 laps here in the Cheerwine 200, and already we're about to start rounding lap number 50.
I mean, it's definitely been a good race. I mean, these guys are all out here racing hard, but they're still racing pretty clean. I mean, if anybody's going to get moved, they're probably not going to wreck them.
These guys really are, some of the better racers you'll see out there on the oval side. I mean, the A class, specifically like the A Open and the A Fixed races that we've seen throughout the course of the week have been complete caution fests. They have not been good at all. Not the case here. These guys really do know how to put on a really good race, especially at a track that's usually known for having a lot of cautions, and try to make the cautions just as minimalist as possible. That's why these guys can provide such good entertaining racing. They are able to stay nice and close and battle with each other, but they also know how to do it in such a way that nobody ends up in a wall. Well, most of the time at least.
Yeah, for sure. Sometimes it's unavoidable, but you're right. I mean, a lot of the guys out here are very talented. I mean, some of the names that you see out there, 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 I ratings. I mean, these guys are they're the cream of the crop for their iRacing ever, for sure.
Still 149 laps remaining for your race leader, Boyd Hogan, who has continued to now extend the gap. It's back up to about 1 3/4 of a second on James Mullins. It doesn't seem like Mullins has anything for it. I mean, Hogan really does know how to do it when it comes to short track racing. He is just so great when it comes to these, little half-mile tracks. They really are where he tends to shine a lot.
For sure. I mean, Boyd has always been very skilled. And when I'm surprised, what was really sad about Dalton Collins having his, incident there, he's very competitive himself. And I know that him and Boyd usually hang out together a lot. So I think that a lot of Boyd's speed rubs off on Dalton.
2 seconds between your gap for first and down to second place. It's kind of shortened a little bit, but that's obviously fluctuating as the speeds change throughout the course of the race. Chad Sullivan and Greg Wyszynski is still going at it. David Gervais has breezed by Wyszynski for the 11th position. Now Sullivan's trying to bump Wyszynski down to 13th.
One question, think about this though, like, because this race has been so clean and so, green, what if it doesn't, we don't have a caution? I mean, what kind of strategy do you think these guys are going to play? I mean, what can you do? You have to take gas at some point during this race.
Now, the gas can run out to about lap 170. That's about the estimated fuel window is 170 laps for a 200-lap race. So, theoretically, and Kenny Powell can vouch, somehow, you can do this race on a one-stopper if you want to stretch the fuel window out. The tires will last to lap 170. Not quite worth it. So if we don't end up getting a caution, I think we can probably start to expect to see cars starting to come down to about lap 100 or so, because at that point in time, it is just worth it to go in and get fresh tires to run to the end. So anytime after that, you're really just going to be costing yourself.
I agree. I mean, it really depends on your setup too. But I mean, it could be to where the deficit on time you're going to lose from how old your tires are could. It just depends. I mean, it's a lot of math involved, and we're just going to have to see how it all plays out.
Fourth and fifth just swapped hands. Delaney has dropped down to the bubble of the top 5. Clayton Hoffman just made an easy pass on him as Delaney moved up in turns 1 and 2 to allow him to have it. So goes to show that some drivers may not be feeling the most confident with their machinery.
And that's kind of surprising considering he was able to turn the fastest lap in qualifying. But I mean, your qualifying trim versus how your car is going to handle in traffic is really the question here. That's the variable. All the other cars, I mean, you got to think the air in front of you is going to take a lot of that downforce off that car, and this is already a low downforce package.
Well, you got to remember as well that some driver, actually, let me put it this way. Being fast on a one-lap pace is one thing. Being fast on a one-lap pace consistently, that is a whole different thing entirely. Delaney seems to be one of those drivers that does very, very well in qualifying, but doesn't manage to pull the most he can out of his machinery when it comes to the race. That's definitely more of a short-run car. I think he might have been banking more on there being some cautions early on so he can manage to kind of not lose as much time. Hasn't played out that way for him.
These guys have definitely disappointed him, for sure. Oh, I'm hearing some contact. Maybe I'm mistaken.
Well, so far, nobody's sideways on the track yet. The fact that we don't have a yellow flag shows that whatever it was might have just been a good old bump and run. That's something else that we're probably going to be looking at as we get later on in the race, is the good old bump and run. It is a tactic that has been tried and tested throughout the years, and every time seems to be quite effective when it comes to quickly picking up spots. It's also very effective at making you some very quick enemies out on the track.
For sure. You better hope if you move them out of the way, they don't have the speed to be able to catch you. If they do, it might not end well for you, for sure. But, I mean, if it's a last lap thing, last 5 laps, go for it. I mean, I think that's all. Go for it.
I mean, I wouldn't expect any less from any type of race driver on a short track to not go for a bump and run. I honestly think you'd probably have to be crazy to not do it. Cam Davidson is in pit road in the number 19 machine, and he appears to maybe be having a bit of issues here. Not sure what's made him come down so early. It's unusual. We didn't think we'd see anybody coming down this early. We're just a little ways past the first quarter, and I think he might be out of the car. Oh, never mind. He is still in the car, but I don't know what he's doing over there.
Not sure. I thought I heard like an engine explode or something, but maybe I was mistaken. I saw him go down pit road around the same time. Hopefully his engine's okay. Because, you know, if you get enough...
Well, bad news. The engine is not okay. I
did hear correctly.
Oh, yeah, you did. I looked back. Lap 65, turns 3 and 4, blew it up just as he approached pit lane and took it in. That is going to be at least 30 minutes before he can get back out on the track again.
And how fast this race is going, I mean, that could be the end of it. I mean, it could be over by then. This has definitely gone by a lot faster than you would expect. I mean, when I was kind of a little bit scared when I came into this, when you guys asked me to broadcast for this. 200 laps. I don't know about that.
Well, when you get to these really, really short tracks like this, I mean, the lap counts always make the race look like it'll go a lot longer than you think it will.
But, I mean, and you also have this level of talent in this race, too, so it's a different story. I mean, these guys all are racing with respect. They know what they're doing. They know how the limits of their car. They've had a lot of time practicing with their cars, so they know what they're doing.
Indeed. Well, the race still continues to run green. About 72 laps going to be complete next time by. Goodness gracious me. Still green flag racing. Fantastic way to start off this race here for the Cheerwine 200 at North Wilkesboro Speedway. Why not take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
ButtKicker. Feel what you've been missing. Get yours today at thebuttkicker.com and be sure to use our 20% discount promo code ISCA20.
Going to be approaching the halfway point here in about 24 laps time. Still green flag racing. You're watching the Cheerwine 200 North Wilkesboro Speedway. The start of the second half for the first season of 2021 for the iRacing Stock Car Association ButtKicker Cup Series. Nola Red Bull bringing the action tonight with Brian Britt beside me in the commentary box. Still has been a very good run so far. We've seen a lot of battles, bit of drama unfold as well. Looks like things though have settled into a nice little rhythm for the time being.
And right now, Boyd Hogan is putting everybody up to the 14th spot, a lap down.
He's about to put 14th lap down too, because he is right behind AJ Russell at the moment. So already before the race is halfway through, Boyd Hogan has lapped just about half the field here. So that 96 car is definitely on a charge. The gap is still fluctuating between him and James Mullins, because there seems to have been a little bit of drama trying to get around some lap traffic where they moved up high for Mullins, not so much for Boyd Hogan. Now, here's what I have to say. The lap traffic, in my eyes, are absolutely allowed to fight the leaders to a point to stay on the lead lap. Why wouldn't you want to do that? Because if you got put down a lap here, you're basically stuck a lap down for the rest of the race. Now, obviously, after the leader has passed you and is running away, that's a different story, and at that point, you'd probably just have to, concede to everybody else behind. But in my eyes, if it's the leader, you're trying to fight it on the lead lap, no holds barred.
For sure, but I mean, Boyd's just got so much speed. AJ couldn't do anything really to keep him behind him there. But I mean, definitely, like you said, James Mullins is not doing a bad job. He still can see Boyd, so if you could see him, you could still get up there and pass him. Still a long race.
A lot of time left to go. So far, we've still got about 7 drivers that are within 10 seconds of the race leader. 13 remain on the lead lap in these about 20-second laps here. So there's not a lot of time at all between a lot of the drivers at the moment. I believe the furthest battle back that we got where you get that good old red box on the timing screens between 7 and 8, and they are in the middle of lap traffic. That's between Brian Johnson and Joshua Schofler. They just moved their way past Clifton Cockrell. That's about for 7th and 8th, but as Schofler gets held up by Cockrell, Brian Johnson starts to pull the gap. And actually, they're starting to reel in the 6th place car of Dan Shamoon as well, because he's struggling to get around Will Barlow, who's had a couple of struggles of his own, taking a couple of grassy excursions through the infield.
Might be the shortest way around the track, but it's definitely not the fastest.
Pulling a good old Valtteri Bottas impersonation, trying to become a little lawnmower. These cars, they got the horsepower, but not really the mechanics for it. Josh Schofier is able to close up a little bit more to Brian Johnson as he is not able to get clear to dive off into the corner as much as he might have liked. So Schofier he's able to close up just a little bit more. Dan Shamoon is trying to pull away as well. Schofier has a close call with Barlow now. His call is just all torn to pieces on the back end. He clearly had some contact. But trouble!
We got a big ring.
Oh, wow! That's going to be caution one of the night, and it's may as well be the big one here on lap number 85 or 86, I believe. And this is between two cars that weren't even on the same lap as each other. Started with Jaden Prava, got a little bit loose. Colton Harvey finished him off. They both slid around. I believe the 23 Dan Shamoon got caught up in that one. Brooks Durning had a piece of it. Brian Johnson slammed into the back of Colton Harvey, which causes the spin. Durning out again. Will Barlow might have gotten a piece of it. I know Joshua Schofier took a spin as well because of it.
That's definitely going to hurt a lot of cars. I mean, I know watch Shamoon get front end damage and rear end damage, so definitely going to hurt him. We're going to have to just watch a lot of these guys here because this could change a lot of things.
Unsurprisingly, a lot of cars are coming down to pit road right now, and why wouldn't you? You've been out here for about 80 or 89 laps. That's just a case of the tires getting the better of people. So Boyd Hogan leads them down pit road. Will it be the one to lead them off, though, is the question. He's getting 4 tires in fuel. Again, should be expected from your race leader. I don't think he got it. Greg Wyszynski might have actually managed to beat him off of pit road unless they're not on the same lap. So cancel that, Hogan's still your leader.
I say if he was able to beat him off of pit road like that, I think that he must have taken 2 tires.
Oh yeah, absolutely. AJ Russell is just now coming in the pit, which is interesting because he actually waited a little bit longer. I think he might have been the lucky dog for a pass. You know, every caution, there's one driver that gets their lap back. I think Russell might have been that lucky driver.
I think he was because he was the one that was really struggling, and then Boyd went past him for sure. So I do believe that he is your lucky dog. Good to see that. Hopefully they can make an adjustment on that car, and he could be able. I mean, that's like a second chance getting that lap back, especially after such a long green run.
From the sounds of it, Dan Shamoon has been given a black flag. Unsure of what for, but issues for the number 23 car, who is likely, if it's any indication, probably going to be an EOL penalty. He's going to have to start all the way at the back of the field.
Curious to see what exactly the infraction was.
Yeah, I'm looking back at it. I have no idea what the heck that was for. Didn't seem like he was supposed to let anybody by. Definitely didn't speed.
I mean, it could have just been one of them iRacing things.
Lights are out on the pace car. The cars that stayed out and managed to run in front of the leaders are now just circling back around the field to pick up the tail end of the pacing line. Now the question is, will they go green here? Because they're already on the back straightaway, but you got half the field still trying to sort themselves out in the back. So we'll have to see if they're going to let this one go green or not. We're coming to 3 and 4 now. It looks like we are going to go green. Pace car pulls it off to the inside. Boyd Hogan this time's on the inside. Can he fend off Mullins around the outside? We're back green flag racing at North Wilkesboro.
And if you remember in that first restart, Boyd was able to power around on the top, so maybe he'll be able to give Boyd a taste of his own medicine. James Mullins might. Nope, they're wrecking.
Caution is out. And it's another big mess at turn 2 this time. Brooks Durning is caught up in this one. I believe AJ Russell as well. And, oh, wow. A bit of an interesting one there. Looks like Durdening's trying to have a go at Brian Johnson. Don't know what that was all about. Looks like he almost aimed for him going into the corner. And AJ Russell just ran over the 27. What do you make of that one?
I'm going back and watching it to see exactly. Oh, goodness. It looked like he was aiming but missed and then caught up AJ Russell. Goodness.
Yeah, I don't know what to say about
like
that
he was
one.
aiming for him, though. It did look like he was aiming for Brian Johnson.
He was going straight into the corner there. He was doing something.
He wasn't lifting, that's for sure.
But then Cockrell gets the lucky dog free pass this time by. He just took that wave around the outside of the pace car. Colton Harvey and H. Russell have both come down to pit, understandably so. Dirtings has retired the car for tonight.
After a move like that, I might would.
That might be something that race control would want to look at after the race, because that is questionable, to say the very least. And keep on, I've seen a couple of instances where I've seen people deliberately take each other out. I think one incident that really comes to mind was at Dover once, in another league I used to work for, where we had one driver that on the last lap in turn 3 actually tried to full throttle turn 3 to take out the race leader and get the win himself. He ended up putting himself in the wall and lost second because of it. Sometimes just don't work out as you might expect, it would seem.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah. I don't know if it's really worth that kind of risk to do something like that. I mean, second place is still a good finish. I'd much rather finish second place than 15th, for sure, after wrecking or something.
Point Hogan wants to go. He was just trying to race the pace car there going into turn number 1. I believe we're 2 to green right now. Might be 3, but I do believe this is 2 to green this time by, as got some cars sorted themselves out as cars start to fall to the back who are laps down.
Boyd's pulling some Tony Stewart moves over here, trying to bump draft the pace car.
You can do something better than Iris, though. You can become the pace car. All you got to do is just drive on up, phase right in.
But I can't wait. If somebody was to, if they ever made the pace car solid, that would be pretty funny. Like, they don't tell the person. Somebody gets into a race and they're like, oh, I can just phase right through the pace car. Bam, they hit it. That would be pretty funny, I gotta say.
Yeah, that would actually be pretty amusing. They just, don't tell you the pace car is solid. Next guy that goes up ends up getting just sent into orbit. That would be great. Lights are on the pace car. We're getting ready to go. Green flag racing once more.
Enough joking, time to get back racing.
Oh, wow. Hang on. Massive checkup in the back. 3 wide coming to the green flag. What is happening back here? Kenny Powell's in the middle of 3 wide. Don't know what happened there. They probably should not let that one go green because everything was all sorts of confused in the back, but we're still racing here.
That was a scary restart. They were 4 wide at one point. I mean, it was just all kinds of chaotic. I don't know what happened. Maybe somebody was confused at where they were supposed to be lined up.
I think that was the case. The 8 car just took a big slide. Colton Harvey struggling to keep that number 8 car under control. Cuts off Jaden Profit. Lets John Mullins through. It is just complete calamity here on this restart, as it seems like Harvey and that Abish is certainly struggling with his equipment.
Definitely is. I'm sure that 65 there's not too happy with him, even though he's not even on the league lap.
I mean, nobody's ever happy to be cut off by, another driver, regardless if they're on your lap or not. It's never a pleasant feeling.
No, definitely not. My motto is if they're faster than me, I'm just going to let them go.
Over halfway, less than 100 laps to go here.
And definitely do not have to worry about fuel anymore.
No, if you came down to pit, you will not have to worry about fuel. You should be clean to go to the end of the race. It's all about the tires now.
And from what we heard from Kenny Powell before the race, he did say that these guys, you can make it about 170 laps on those tires. He said you can make it the whole run, so 100 laps shouldn't be too hard for these guys. Some of them may be harder than others, depending on what kind of setup they have.
So the real question is going to be, if you come down... Oh, disregard that. Caution's out. We'll get back to what I was saying in a minute. Dan Shamoon this time has blown the flag. Seems to be a self-spin all by himself. Got the tail and stepped out in turn 1. He went 9 degrees perpendicular to the track. Almost came to a stop. Caution waved. He was the only one involved.
That's the kind of caution you like to see. One that does not affect other people. It almost got to where it did. I mean, a couple people almost did collide with him, but they barely missed him, luckily.
Jonathan Delaney really fakes pit road there. I don't know if you saw that, but he came within a hair's length of colliding with the pit wall. That would have been one for the IRC not top 10 highlights of the month. While we're to caution for the 4th time tonight, Well, let's take a quick break.
ButtKicker. Feel what you've been missing. Get yours today at thebutkicker.com and be sure to use our 20% discount promo code ISCA20.
And welcome back to the Cheerwine 200 for the ISCA Stock Car Association ButtKicker Cup Series here at North Wilkesboro.
Now, is it true that you didn't even know what Cheerwine was?
Maybe.
You
One
thought
to
it was
green.
a wine. Sorry to interrupt you.
I mean, is it not that?
No, it's not soda. Like it's
Yeah, may as well. Well, there you go.
I'm sure you could add some alcohol to it. Might be all right.
Boyd Hogan going to be taking the field back. Green flag racing once more. Already the field is getting... Hang on. We got Colton Harvey ducking up through the field. No idea why, but he put him 3 wide at turn 4. So there's a lot of confusion on these restarts here. But we're green again. Hogan and Mullins side by side through 1 and 2, trying to see who can come out on top. Mullins pulling in the top side. Excellently. Can he hang on to it through 3 and 4, though?
I don't know. This definitely have been known for some, hectic restarts tonight. I mean, it's been chaotic. That's the best way to describe it. I mean, these guys have been trying to get every inch of this racetrack on these restarts, but whenever they do go green, it seems like it's okay. It's just these cautions are breeding cautions. Hopefully, we have a good green run now. But like you said, they're side by side, right in the front. James Mullen has the advantage right now.
Yeah, Hogan is not having an easy time trying to maintain this lead. Mullins is able to pull the outside line so excellently through 1 and 2. He's trying to do the same in 3 and 4, but it looks like he's finally lost touch to the outside line. Hogan trying to come up to clear, but is just barely able to not make it work. Look at Mullins, though, with a dive around the outside into turn 1.
Oh, into the wall a little bit there. Gonna give the inside line to Eric Kling here. Gonna be able to take that second spot. Can he clear Mullins?
He rebounded into Boyd Hogan and actually gave him a little bit of damage on the left rear. Hogan is very lucky he did not just get wiped out there, because that could have been a lot worse than it ended up being.
Definitely, and that just shows the talent that James Mullins has. I mean, to be able to make a mistake like that and not destroy other race cars. And he's still holding on to the second position, even though of that mishap.
Probably did a couple laps in order to kind of recuperate and regather himself up, and now that he's gotten himself collected again, he is ready to try to hunt back down their current points leader.
It's definitely just a straight line of cars. Like you said, you can almost lay a blanket over this field right now. Just like a train.
We talked earlier in the race, or actually just a little while ago, about how we were going to be good on field to the end, leaving just tires to be the big question. We know these guys can make it to the end on these sets of tires, but the question is going to be, are they going to elect to do that? You gotta, with these drivers might start to balance out when we get about lap 50 or so, where if we come down now, will we have enough that if the leaders stay out till the end, we could be able to wrap around the track and overtake them again? 50 lap pressure tires do magical things at a track like this, but it's just such a difficult thing to do to be able to keep up the speed on fresh tires as you're working your way through lap traffic. It really is a question that makes you think.
I mean, I would say if a caution came out with 50 to go, yes, grab tires. But, I mean, if it goes green, I mean, you saw that first run. They went 87 laps, I do believe, green. And if they're only going 100, why would they go in again? You know what I mean? Like, I mean, if they went 87, I think they would go that extra little bit.
Very good point. Coming to 80 to go this time by. Hogan still leads. He has by far led the most laps this race so far. I believe he's led over half of the laps in the race thus far. James Mullins has lost touch to the leader. He's about 6.5 tenths back, trying to close the gap, but I think the damage on that right front might have something to say about it.
For sure. I mean, now Eric Kling's hanging right there with Mullins. And not far behind is Clayton Hoffman. Bigger gap back to Jonathan Blaney, though, so they're starting this field's starting to spread out a little bit more.
Ryan Johnson has brought it down to pit lane about a lap ago. He tagged the outside wall pretty hard, and he came down to pit. He has yet to leave pit road, so potentially suspension damage on the number 4, and he's taken the car to the hauler. He has left the facility. So North Wilkesboro claims yet another victim as we watch the battle for third start to pick on up. Eric Kling trying to fend off Clayton Hoffman.
And I'm sure one person who is really looking forward to a caution, really probably wants one, has got to be either Joshua Schaffner or Dan Shamoon. I mean, both of those just one lap down. If they can just get back on the lead lap.
They just need to be able to make it onto the lead lap, and they might be able to find a way to maybe run this race out and hopefully stick the rest of the race on that lead lap. But they got to be able to get it first, and that is where the difficult part is going to come. Now, Shamoon and Schaffner, they are running pretty close to each other, but not as close as the battle for 10th is, as Colton Harvey is looking up the inside of Clifton Cockrell to try to pick up the 10th position. Down in the turn number 1, gets a bit squeezed in by the 16, but manages to keep it off of him.
I mean, that's just such the disadvantage that the bottom line is. I mean, you saw it. It's proof right there with that 8. The way he wiggled up off the bottom there, getting loose. I mean, it's so hard to pass on the bottom, but he does get it done. And look at that, Kenny Powell right there in the mix.
Kenny Powell is now going to go up into 11th. He's still trying to run down Harvey to see if he can pick up another top 10 finish. Cockrell manages to get himself back in line before Wachinski can put him down another lap. Whoa, big slide there for Kenny Powell as he had to slam the brakes hard to avoid running over Colton Harvey just in front of him.
Good save from Kenny Powell. He didn't lose any position off of that. That could have been a race ender right there if he didn't gather that back up.
Also battling really close together are Chad Sullivan and Chris Johnson. That is 7th and 8th running nose to tail with the 48 and the 21. They're just now off of turn 4, coming on to the front straightaway. Started to kind of spread apart a little bit. That's the case how a lot of these battles tend to go. And of course, it's just a side effect of short track racing. You don't have to draft here. It is really all in whatever you can gather up off the corners. So anytime you lose, you're not going to have these straightaways to help you in getting it back.
That's for sure. I mean, your straightaway speed is everything. Your exit speed, more like. I mean, it's pretty much your whole corner. If you mess up the exit of that corner, you are pretty much going to lose a lot of time. There's, like you said, no way to gain that back. No draft to help you.
Joshua Schaffner is really trying to fight hard with Dan Shamuda. This is a very influential battle. Hang on, actually, before we get to that, we got smoke up front. Eric Kling! Kling has just blown his motor up, and he is on fire right now, coming around through 3 and 4. What has happened here to Eric Kling? He's now on pit road.
He must have had too much tape on that race car.
And yellow flag. It's for Colton Harvey, and it is another self-spin for the 8 car. This time looping it around himself. He went overcorrects just a little bit in that 8 car and hit the outside wall. Now, as that was happening, Dan Shamoon and Josh Hogan were side by side for the lucky dog position.
Curious to see who's going to be the winner on that exchange. If Dan's going to get his flat back, I don't know. I think it's going to give it to Josh.
Now, I was just pointed out about how that battle that Schaffner and Shamoon were having was so important because it was for a lucky dog spot. Whichever one of them was in front, if a caution came out, would have gotten a lap back, and then would have been trapped. It appears like it has gone to Joshua Schilfer, who was just barely ahead by about a bumper's length on the outside line in order to take that lucky dog.
He is truly the lucky dog. He's lucky. Like he was really close to not being that lucky dog. If that caution that came out a second later, it could have been a whole different lucky dog here.
Goodness me, and it looks like Boyd Hogan might have just barely beaten James Mullins off of pit road again, so Hogan will continue to lead as almost everybody on the lead lap came down for fresh tires, except for Joshua Schofner, who's coming down this time by being the lucky dog driver.
Colton Harvey is still out there, and he is being counted as the leader right now.
Well, that is surely going to change. There's no way he can stay out there.
I mean, look at that car.
Yeah. I'd be shocked if he didn't come down here.
Yeah, I mean, he literally has no front end on that race car. If he don't come down, this is going to spell big trouble for Boyd and everybody behind. But there you go, he comes down.
Yeah, Harvey decides not to run a discount modified and decides to do the same thing and pull it on in to maybe make it look more like a stock car.
I'm sure a sigh of relief could be heard in Boyd's camp over there. I mean, those guys probably are definitely counting their lucky stars, because if you have to start behind a car like that, I mean, anything could happen, really. I mean, it could give the advantage to James, depending on how everything goes. I mean, it really throws a wrench into everything that's going on right now, and Boyd definitely has clear advantage.
Looks like a total of 8 cars will be waved around the pace car to pick up the tail end of the field. Those drivers are Wayne Grossi, Dan Shamoon, Cecil Keith, and Jaden Profit. All are in front of Boyd Hogan, so when we go 1 to green this time by, they're all going to be able to go around and pick up the tail end of the field. So that is a lot of time gain for some of those drivers. It means that they're now only 1 lap down instead of 2.
Well, definitely going to be good for Shamoon, but one thing about it that Josh has over him, though, is Josh was able to probably get a set of tires, and Shamoon's not going to be able to get that set. But he'll still be on the lead lap. If another caution comes out, he'll be set.
Coming around through 3 and 4. Once again, Hogan leads into the green. This time it's a much bigger jump than we're used to seeing. Did not check the field up that time around, so we are green flag racing already in the top 3. Single filed out. Jonathan Delaney has recovered up to the 3rd position, proving our point that he does have a car that is really, really good in the short run. He's trying to see if he can maybe utilize that, but I think Hogan and Mullins are just going to run away with this one here.
I mean, they've been running away this whole race. I mean, they've been literally the top 2 almost the whole entire race so far. So would not be surprising to see these guys run 1 and 2.
I wouldn't be surprised at all. I mean, it'd be something we'd honestly expect from these guys to see them running 1-2 at the moment. There's a lot of cars running really close together. Clifford Cochran just tried to go around the outside of Kenny Powell into turn number 1. Didn't quite work out for him. Colton Harvey is still out there. Disregard that. He's just calling it over the radio. Colton Harvey is pitting at this lap, and I think he might have gotten a speed penalty for that one. He came in about 5-7 miles an hour too fast in a pit road, so he's probably going to have a long wait there. Nearly collided with
Kenny Powell still battling with A.J. Russell here. We have the 16 of Clifton Cockrell coming into picture. He's right on the outside of Kenny Powell.
Oh no!
A.J. Russell into the wall.
Hit the wall hard, a mistake of his own doing, overcorrected once the car started to fishtail, slammed him into the outside wall. That is going to drop him outside of the top 10 and all the way back to 11th place. He's trying to go the inside of Greg Ruchinski to recover into the top 10, but that has allowed Kenny Powell a free spot, who's now up to 8th.
Definitely a sad story for AJ Russell. I mean, he has just not had the car tonight. I mean, you can just tell he's been struggling all night long. And I mean, that showed a lot of skill, though, that he was able to gather that up after, hitting the wall like that. It could have easily caused a big caution with a lot of cars right behind him.
It really could have. That wreck could have been so much worse than it actually was. So thank goodness that it ended up not being any worse than it was. Still got quite some time to go. About 54 laps remaining this time by. Coming up to the last quarter of the race.
Definitely a race between Boyd Hogan and James Mullins tonight. I mean, it's just really, those two are the cars to beat. I mean, but look at this, though. We have a battle for the third position, Jonathan Delaney and Clayton Hoffman. Hoffman has been doing a pretty good job getting up to Jonathan Delaney's back bumper. Every lap, he seems like he's getting closer and closer to be able to try to make something happen there.
Got to remember as well that right now, Clayton Hoffman is trying to see if he can maybe usurp Boyd Hogan from the points lead. They are right now tied for the points lead, both sitting at 193 points apiece. Jonathan Delaney is within this fight. He's, I believe, sitting in the third position, 5 points down. So Hoffman's just trying to see if he can maybe try to at least minimize the gap that Hogan can get on him in this race. Because I think it's safe to say Hoffman most likely will not be winning this one.
No, definitely not. I mean, Boyd seems like he's going to be able to break that points tie. And Hoffman was all over the back bumper of Jonathan Delaney there, but now he's fallen off a little bit there. I wonder if he tried to make a pass and it just really didn't work. It cut off his momentum, so he lost a lot of time, it seems like.
Probably tried a big dive into the corner to try to get around him or give him a good old bumper, and it just didn't play out the way he thought it would. Will Barlow and John Mullins are both going at it for 18th and 19th. They're stuck behind AJ Russell, who is slow, but certainly not willing to let the bike. Oh, Barlow slides, and it slams the inside wall.
And Barlow's been having quite a bit of trouble tonight also. I mean, he's taking a couple rides through the grass. Now he's got some damage on that car. Look at the back spoiler. Definitely all bent up, but he definitely was able to maintain to where he would not bring a caution out.
Yeah, just barely able to maintain that car. I mean, if that car shot around but he hit the wall, it absolutely would have brought up the caution. There would have been no question about it. Now look at Barlow. What is he doing?
Calling it a day, parking it.
Yeah, it seems to be that way. At least he parked it at a place where the field wouldn't cause a caution, but
Dangerous to drive your car down there.
I was gonna say, you probably could have at least driven it into pit road.
No, I've tried to get off the track right there and just to get out of everybody's way and shoot right back onto the track. So, I mean, it's kind of dangerous to do that. That grass is not grip like pavement, that's for sure.
Well, now Mullins is in a fight with Justin Belmonte, who is currently on his outside. These guys are both laps down, should know, and I believe they're both 2 laps down at the moment from the race leaders. But it still goes to show you that the battles really can't happen anywhere. Josh Schofner in the 12th is trying to get around him, but Belmonte has a big slide and is forced to let Mullins through.
That was scary. He looked like he was about to completely lose that car. Seems like a lot of the cars out here are edge for sure. I mean, just that's what's fast. I mean, loose is fast.
It is important to note this is the last short track that we're going to be seeing on the schedule for the first season of 2021. The next race got up is going to be the Kentucky Speedway at the old Legacy layout from 2009, I believe. Then comes our only super speedway race of the year at Daytona International Speedway. Homestead, Miami comes up next with that 1.5 miles. Then the one of our only 2-mile races of the year at Auto Club Speedway, finishing it off at Vegas for another 200-mile race there. So this is one of two short tracks that we've seen throughout the course of the year. And so far, both of them really have been thrills to watch.
Nothing like short track racing. I mean, it really isn't. I mean, yeah, you're not going around the track quite as fast as what is a speedway or super speedway, but this is just where the real drivers are showcased. I mean, this is where a wheelman really shows up. I mean, where do you think they pick all the talent from? Is from late models across the country that drive at short tracks.
Once again, the gap between third and fourth has closed substantially. Hoffman has reeled in Jonathan Delaney once more, so we're going to have to see this battle pick on up once again. The gap is also starting to close down a little bit between Boyd Hogan and James Mullins, so looks like we'll be getting a little bit of action coming up here, a couple areas on the field.
Definitely would love to see a battle for the lead coming across the stripe for sure, and it looks like they're going to try to deliver as they're within 7/10 of one another and dealing with the lap traffic. So anything can happen when they're dealing with this lap traffic.
Make it under half a second now. All of a sudden, Mullins has closed in so much time. The gap is about 0.5 of a second right now, but Hogan has still got a lot of lap traffic. He's got to work his way by, and they are not eager to let him through. These are guys that are now trying to stay on the lead lap. They're still on the lead lap right now, but they don't want to go down the lap again, especially Schofinger, who was already down the lap once, and he's in a battle, actually, with Jeff Shutt just ahead of him. So he's going to be more focused about trying to battle Shutt than he's going to be about letting Hogan through.
Well, I mean, if he was smart, I would think I'd let Hogan through because, I mean, this could definitely cause a problem for you because, like you said, Hogan has that mentality. If you don't let him by, he might just spin you out, and you don't want to have to deal with that. So might as well just let him go. Try to pass that guy once he's past me.
I mean, you got to remember as well, though, these guys are racers, and in the eyes of motorsports, they are allowed to fight for position. It is up to the leaders to try to find a way through you. You do not have to let them through, especially if you're battling with another car for position. It is such a crucial factor in multi-class racing in particular, but it can happen anywhere, and that was a perfect example right there. Hogan is still trying to get by Jeff Shutt just up, or Joshua Schofinger just up in front of him, who is now catching Dan Shamoon again.
I mean, I understand there's that mentality is definitely what you want to have. I'm just saying that when you have a guy that is kind of like a bull, you know, definitely you don't want to stop him. Like if you get Dale Earnhardt come up behind you, you probably want to let him go.
Hey, there was always the thing going around where you didn't want to be known as the guy that cost Dale Earnhardt a win, for sure, because that was the perfect way to get a target put on your back for weeks to come.
And Boyd Hogan has just as an effective target for sure.
Mullins and Hogan both go through, but Hogan still has to get around Dan Shamoon, who's moving up high to let Hogan through down the back straightaway. Scrapes the wall a little bit as well. Dan Shamoon still has to let through James Mullins as well, though. Looks like he might wait a little bit, though, before doing so. Caution's down, and whoa! That's Belmonte in the 30.
Turned around 180 on the track there.
That's not what you expect to see when you come off of turn 4.
Definitely scary to see that, especially with the leaders coming right around and seeing that. I mean, anything could have happened there.
Now, what happened there was Justin Belmonte had gotten a bit loose off of turn 4. He had hooked the wheel to the right, trying to save it. Car started to go to the right. He hooked back to the left, overcorrected to the left, and the car just shot around and he tapped the inside wall, causing him to face exactly 180 degrees to the track. It looks like he is going to be waved around the pace car. I believe we'll be seeing Shamoon getting waved around the pace car this time around for the Lucky Dog free pass.
So now Shamoon will actually be able to grab a set of tires. That'll be good for him because it's crazy to see that he went another lap down there. That just goes to show you how much faster Boyd Hogan is, and I just think Shamoon also has some substantial damage on that car that's probably holding them back too.
We're going to be coming up now to just about roughly 25, 24 laps to go. When we go back green flag racing, let's take another quick break, and we'll bring you all the action right to the checker right after this. And welcome back to the Cheerwine 200 here at North Wilkesboro Speedway for round number 7 of the iRacing Stock Car Association ButtKicker Cup Series. It's going to be Boyd Hogan versus James Mullins as we are coming around now for the final quarter of the race. 2 laps remaining before we go green flag racing. I believe will be about 24 laps to go when we take the green flag.
It's definitely going to be some craziness. I mean, I think that they're really going to turn the intensity up to 11. If you thought it was intense thus far, it's probably going to get even hairier now.
I would expect nothing less. I mean, Boyd Hogan and James Mullins, they both fight really, really hard when they're in the closing stages. We've seen both drivers pull some insane moves to get around traffic in the later stages of the race. I believe we're 1 lap to green. We are 1 lap to green now. Lights are out in the official iRacing pace car. We're about to see some real fireworks coming up here.
I mean, this is literally the best thing in short track racing to watch the last 25 laps. What are these guys going to do? It's probably going to be some calamity, that's for sure.
They start to double up for hopefully what will be the final time today, but I wouldn't put it past with how some of these restarts have gone, especially since this one is later in the race than any others have been. Half the field still trying to catch up, but the pace car is going to pull off anyway. Green flag drops. James Mullins jumps the gun. Boyd Hogan has to repass him in order to make sure that Mullins does not get penalized. Holy cow, Mullins just had a close call there.
It looked like to me that, like, definitely Boyd was waiting on that restart. He wanted to, I think he wanted James to kind of overshoot it there just so he would have a little bit more of an advantage. But James is starting to come on.
Oh, look, Wayne Grossi spinning in the background. Sorry, David Gervais spinning with Kenny and Powell. He's just been collected by a couple of cars. We're under caution once again.
A bit of damage there on Kenny Powell's car on the right, on the left front and right front. I mean, this whole front end's kind of messed up. His back end's pushed up. Definitely a lot of damage on that car now.
Well, he ran into David Gervais, who in turn put him into the outside wall. Kenny Powell was then run over from behind by A.J. Russell, who really had nowhere to go. That was really cheeky there, though, from Boyd Hogan.
Looked like he was waiting. He delayed it just to mess with James.
Well, I don't blame James for going early either, because last time Boyd Hogan went as soon as the pace car started to turn off. So, of course, James Mullins is going to go as early as he can and totally jumped the gun there. He's lucky, though, that he waited and stopped, because if he continued to go, he would have got a black flag and would have had to go down a lap.
Yeah, he would have pretty much been put out of contention for the race. I don't know if that was Boyd's intention there. But like you said, I mean, he was definitely throwing him off. In that earlier restart, he went really early, and then he just waited this time. So definitely trying to keep him guessing, keeping his cards close to his chest, that's for sure. But every car out here has got a ton of damage. I mean, A.J. Russell is joined the modified class.
Yeah, David Gervais, like you said, driving a discount modified right now. Probably shipped down from overseas. So is A.J. Russell. Oh, goodness gracious. I mean, let's be honest. We saw this coming a mile off. At the end of a short track race, if you somehow still have a clean car, you haven't been racing it properly, is a very common we tend to hear.
I've heard that plenty of times for sure, yep.
As well, I said, we were hoping this would be the last time to go green, but I wouldn't put it past them, as sure enough, 1 lap later.
That's just
so the question is...
Right? But the thing is that these front two, they have definitely been very strong. I mean, trying to play mind games with each other, very interesting to watch for sure. It's like we're watching a game of chess between these two.
So So here's another interesting factor. Usually, Al, or one of our usual members on the team here, picks a driver to win, and usually that driver ends up crashing out of the race. I think it's like a 3-month streak at this point. Do we dare do the same?
I'm going to say Boyd's going to win. I mean, I don't want him to wreck or anything, but I mean, hopefully that superstition doesn't apply to me.
We'll see. You know what? Just for fun's sake, I'll pick Mullins then, in that case.
They both could wreck, and then somebody else will win. Delaney wins.
Yeah. Lights are back out. 16 laps to go when we go green. This is going to be one entertaining finish, I'll tell you that much.
I'm pretty glad when when you guys invited me that it was this race that I got to do for sure. North Wilkesboro, such a great racetrack.
Larry, the pace car driver, once again takes it down to pit road. Mullins will have to be careful here. Will Hogan go immediately? Oh, he thought about it. Mullins thought about going, but Hogan finally gets on the loud pedal. We're back green, but Mullins can't get to the inside because Delaney is just barely there. Delaney gives it the space to work with and lets him come back in line. And we're green flag racing once again. Mullins trying to force the outside line in his favor, trying to get the momentum on Boyd Hogan, trying to get one of them down the front straightaway. Can he get it done in the turn one? He's just barely got the nose in around the outside. Here he goes.
I mean, he is so good on the top right now. That car is definitely set up to run that top. It's so good.
Really comes into play big time later on in the race. We haven't really had a lot of time to talk about how that outside line can come into play, but James Mullins is showing perfectly here that you really can work both lines. And now Boyd Hogan is under some heavy fire here from that number 6 car, who is trying to find every last mile-an-hour speed that he can muster around the top side of the racetrack. Jonathan Delaney is trying to throw his hat into the ring as well, maybe making a 3-car battle for the race lead, but Mullins is able to pull ahead now on the front and just a little bit on the entry to 1.
This is crossing the start-finish line. Mullins doesn't necessarily have to pass him fully. He could just get a millimeter on him, and he will win this race.
Hogan squeezes Mullins up to the outside wall as the exit turn number 4, nearly taking himself out.
Look
of
at this.
Oh, my word, this is fantastic. And finally,
Delaney's coming into it.
He really is. He's trying to find his way in there. 11 laps to go. Mullins was able to get a little bit clear. Oh, contact off of turn 4.
Almost nasty there, but
no,
he saves it.
No, he doesn't.
Delaney is in the lead right now. Mullins was able to save it, but Boyd gets demolished.
Oh my goodness, they had just made a little bit of contact last time by off of turn 4. Hogan got a bit loose into 1, slid that back end around, and ended up blocking the track, and Clinton Cockrell nowhere to go, ran right into him. I believe Jaden Profit has a contact there as well. Going to be going green with about 5 laps remaining, and Jonathan Delaney is now back in the lead where he started.
That's pretty impressive to see this. I mean, he does have that short run car, and he was able to take tires just like, 30 or so laps ago? But definitely now, I think James Mullins has a good chance too, though. If James can do exactly what he did with Boyd and run around on the top, I think he's going to be able to get around him maybe. We're going to have to see, though. Delaney could bring home the win here. Gosh, that's just so unfortunate for Boyd, and I kind of feel bad that I picked him because, I mean, like you said, apparently the superstition is true.
First continues
for James Mullins. I mean, you picked him. He could end up wrecking too.
He almost did. Did you see that? I mean,
Almost
Hogan worked him on the back end as he was starting to come around. We really need to stop. I think we learned a lesson here. It's not exclusive to Al. We just need to stop picking people to win these races because it just never ends well. I tell you what, Boyd's going to watch this broadcast back, and then when he hears that we picked him to win and he immediately wrecks 5 laps later, he's going to freak out at us.
Yeah. I'll be getting an angry message from Boyd.
Yeah, imagine that. Imagine that. Like, you ended up, you end up taking over the role of Al Kozlowski, taking on the role as he's currently away at the moment, and filling in the role of the curse. That Around must have picked him to win himself before he left today.
He was a shoo-in to win this race. I don't understand really what happened there. Definitely seems like they were racing so hard, and it seems like he broke loose underneath James for real.
He did, and the reason why is because they made contact off of 4, so Boyd Hogan was already unsettled. He has such a short amount of time to gather your car back up. You only got like 5 seconds, if that, to gather the car up before you have to turn it in again, and he just didn't get it done in time. So that's done Boyd Hogan all the way down to 13th. He's going to have a hard fight just to get back up into the top 10.
On him, I think he'll be able to do it. He's a heck of a driver. I mean, I would never count him out of winning a race. That's for sure. I mean, something could happen, and he can find his way right back to the lead. You never know with Boyd.
Wow. 5 laps to go when we take the green. Do we go into green-white check territory? At this point in time, if we get another yellow, we will have a green-white checker finish. It'll be the first one that we've seen all season so far. Once again, the ISCA 4 Mustang pace car leads them around 3 and 4. Jonathan Delaney, can he fend off James Mullins for the win? Can James Mullins the win away? Just gotta wait and see. Green flag drops. They're evenly matched on the start as we go back racing. 13 cars got the inside line. Mullins already trying to pinch him in around the outside.
Delaney's got a good run on the inside, but Mullins just so strong on the top. Definitely a two-wide battle here. No one else seems to be able to catch these guys. Everybody's too wide behind them, so definitely not having that, disadvantage there. Usually when you're ready to almost a little bit of contact.
Well, it definitely was. Mullins gave a little bit of a wiggle through turn 2. This is absolutely fantastic stuff. Short track racing at its finest. Delaney trying to fight back. 3 laps to go. Mullins clears for the lead.
And that could be the pass that really does it in there. That could definitely give James the win there. And Boyd Hogan's fighting his way, clawing his way, trying to get through the field here, and he is in the 11th spot right now. Definitely damage hurting that car.
2 laps remaining. Can Jonathan Delaney retake the race lead? Clayton Hoffman has picked up the 3rd position. They're still side by side for 4th as well, but we're coming around to take the white flag. Delaney's got 2 more chances to make this work, but he really has got to fight hard. Here's now or never. White flag is in the air. This race will finish on the scheduled amount of laps. James Mullins just a quarter of a second out. Can Delaney go for the bumper run in turns 3 and 4? Delaney's going to try to get close through the middle of the corner, but it's not going to be nearly enough. James Mullins over turn 4. He wins it at North Wilkesboro.
James Mullins. Nice performance from him for sure.
What an absolutely thrilling end to a race and a win that James Mullins really, really needed. Wow. That is by far one of the most exciting finishes we've had all season. James Mullins has now chalked his win count up to 3 for the season.
He's out there burning it down now. That's definitely going to help out James Mullins' points.
Absolutely. He was down at 7th place. He'll no doubt be well into the top 5 by the end of this race. Let's take a look at the post-race results. James Mullins takes a well-deserved victory, just a quarter of a second back, not able to fend him off as Jonathan Delaney in the 2nd position. Clayton Hoffman, who I believe will retake the points lead at this point in time, is going to be down in the 3rd position, rounding out the podium. Dan Shamoon and Chad Sullivan will sit 4th and 5th. Chris Johnson is in 6th with David Gervais in 7th. Joshua Schofner in 8th. AJ Russell in 9th. Boyd Hogan does squeak into the top 10 and finishes off in 10th place. Greg Wachinski is in 11th. Wayne Grossi in 12th. Jeff Shutt 13th. Clifton Cockrell finishes it off in the 14th position. With Kenny Powell rounding out the top 15. Last car in the lead lap, John Mullins in 16th. Then cars that finished laps down are Cecil Key, Profit, and Paul Olson at 18th, 17th, 18th, and 19th. Rounded down 28th through 28th. Cars that did not finish the race are Justin Belmonte, Will Barlow, Colton Harvey, Eric Kling, Brian Johnson, Brooks Durden, Camp Davidson, Dalton Collins, and Kyle Labrie. Labrie, of course, not making the start for the race today. What an absolute... That was one of the most exciting races we've had all season. Definitely one of the best races we've had all season as well. We'll take another quick break here and get down to the podium to talk with the drivers. We'll be back with the post-race show in just a moment.
ButtKicker. Feel what you've been missing. Get yours today at TheButtKicker.com and be sure to use our 20% discount promo code ISCA20.
And welcome back with the post-race show this time round. Oh my goodness me, what a thrilling end to what has been an absolutely thrilling race here in North Wilkesboro for the Cheerwine 200. Let's go on over to the podium drivers now. We're going to start things off with your third place finisher, Clayton Hoffman, who manages to finish it off in third position and retake the points lead from Boyd Hogan, who ended up finishing all the way down in 10th. Clayton, 200 laps later, how do you feel?
Feel a little bit tired, a little bit at ease. For me, I've had trouble with this track all week, so getting it over with and being able to finish third is a great feeling. It's a big weight off my shoulders, honestly.
It's certainly a very good run for you, and that was definitely a finishing position that you needed. We were kind of watching the points swapping around between you and Boyd Hogan all race long, trying to see who would come out on top, seeing as you two were tied for the lead in points. Coming into today's race, you've come on top now, so you have now taken the points lead. Do you reckon you can hang on going into Kentucky?
It's going to come down to consistent finishes in the top 5, really. Boyd's always competing for wins, and I'm just trying to, like I said, try to finish in the top 5, not make any mistakes. I think if I can, avoid making mistakes the rest of the season, I've got a good shot to be up there, just like anyone else who doesn't make any mistakes.
You were mentioned as well that you had a little bit of trouble trying to get North Wilkesboro under your belt. Definitely not really a track that suited your racing.
Does sound like Nolan's breaking up a little bit. I don't know if anybody else hearing that. Well, I'm sorry about that. Clayton, so like he was saying, like what were some of the challenges of getting good at North Wilkesboro there? I mean, seems like definitely a tough track to learn how to be fast, right?
Yeah, I didn't get a lot of practice time like I would normally try to get. My main struggle for me was just breaking into the corners. I'd overdo it or I'd underdo it, and I was just really struggling with my long runs. Even in this race, my tire wear wasn't as good as some of the guys around me that I spoke with during the race. And, my main thing was just to keep it straight on the track, minimize my slips, and just try to finish as far up as I could and try to take whatever, the track gave to me and run with it.
And it seemed to do a great job as you come home with the third place finish in your podium. So is anybody you want to shout out tonight from that great finish and taking the point lead?
Yeah, just shout out to my team, G&G Racing. Eric helped actually work on a setup, and I used the setup that he ended up sharing with us. I made some modifications to kind of help me do at least a little bit better in the long runs, but he helped me out a lot this week. And, of course, the rest of the team helping, kind of working on some setups, trying some different things, and, having fun practicing together and racing together.
Definitely a great job tonight and great job on third position. We can't wait to see you next week at Kentucky. That's your third place finisher, Clayton Hoffman
Hoffman joining us here in the third. Thank you for taking over from me, Brian. A little bit on my end, but looks like we got that all sorted now. Thank you, Glenn, for taking the time to join us tonight. Let's move things on to now your second place finisher, Jonathan Delaney, finishing just a quarter of a second behind your race winner, James Mullins. Now, Jonathan, you started on the pole, dropped back a little bit in the first run, but managed to recover nicely up to the second position.
Yeah, that first run, I just pushed it too hard, too early. I burned up my right rear too fast, and I just had no exit after those like 80 laps or so long run we had. And I fixed that the second run we had, the first caution. I tried, staying back, trying to preserve the right rear a lot more. The cautions kind of played in our favor. And then Boyd just lost it going into turn one. Got me into the lead. And Mullins had a great restart. We were battling there for a good bit. And he just he had the car to beat, other than Boyd. I couldn't stay with him on that outside. But yeah.
It's a really good points haul for you, too. This puts you even closer now to that top spot. You were, I believe, at the points lead a couple weeks ago. You dropped out of fourth, but I believe this is going to put you up into third, maybe even second place now after all is said and done here today. So no doubt it's looking up for you in your championship hunt coming into the next round as well.
Yeah, I had a pretty rough Rockingham and Gateway. I just had some bad luck, so it's definitely great to be starting to get some better finishes for sure.
Now, this was the last short track race as well of the season, so with everything being mile and a half and up going forward, what do you think that means for you? Do you think you'll be able to make the most out of the tracks we got left?
Yeah, I always seem to do pretty good at the short tracks. I like mile and a halves a lot. Our team's been doing pretty good with those lately. So we'll see. I know always, Boyd and James, they're always like very, very, very fast on the mile and a halves. So we'll see how it plays.
Then before we let you go tonight, do you have anybody else that you'd like to shout out for us tonight?
Yeah, shout out to everyone over at Flying Arrows. Put some nice work in this week building the set. Let's see. Thank you guys for broadcasting this. Kenny for this league. It's an awesome league. Mom and Dad. And yeah, that's all I got.
Brian, you got anything you want for a second place finisher that you want to ask?
Not really. I mean, I'm just glad that he's thanking his mom and dad. That's a good sign. And he's, definitely glad to see you did such a good job, Jonathan. I mean, after that great qualifying effort, we were worried about you. So glad to see you have such a great finish, and can't wait to see what you can do in the future.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you for taking the time to join us tonight. Continuing to move things along now to the man that finished top step of the podium and a much-deserved win for one James Mullins. I believe this is going to be win number 3 of the season for you, James. So 3-time winner and now top 5 of the point standings as well. No doubt a fantastic feeling in you right now.
Damn, what a race, man. The last, 30 laps was downright crazy. A lot of fun, too.
Noticed that you were often trying to anticipate when Boyd was going to go, and you had a couple moments there where you got awfully close to getting the penalty there. Was that kind of the secret of the victory tonight, was being able to make the most out of the gas that you were able to get on the restart?
Well, I mean, Boyd's just so hard to pass, and he's just so good on short tracks. For me to even be able to be within striking distance was amazing to me. He would get out to about a second or so, and I'd kind of reel him back in, and he'd kind of pull back on me, but he never could really, pull me big time. So I was just wanting to try to stay in striking distance, and I knew I had to be aggressive on them last restarts there, and I just hate that he lost it going on the entry there. I just really want to race it out with him the right way. It just sucks stuff like that happens, but I had to be aggressive, and it was it's fun while it lasted. I just wish he could have got to race it out with me.
I'm gonna go ahead and ask the same question that I asked the other drivers. Next race is another legacy track, the last we've got in the season at Kentucky Speedway. Definitely very, very different than the newer version of Kentucky we got I guess I got two questions for you here. Which one do you like more, the Legacy or the modern one? And do you think you'll be able to have a good run there as well?
I like both of them. I probably like the, I don't know, man. I like the new one. I like the old one. I don't know. I probably like the old one a little bit better because it's a little bit more bumpier. It's a little bit slower. Because 1, 2, you can basically hold wide open, but it's a little bit flatter. So I kind of like the lower speeds. It kind of takes a little bit more finesse, a little bit better tire management, and yeah, I expect to be pretty quick. I hope we are. I mean, we're going to put the work in. So we're going to try to at least try to win the race like we do every week.
That's about all you can...
Nope, go ahead, Brian.
Okay. I mean, but definitely a great job tonight, James. I mean, you were definitely giving Boyd a run for his money, and it was you guys literally 1-2 almost the entire race. So definitely wanted to see how that was going to play out without what happened, but it was an exciting finish nonetheless. So, like, just any secrets to this track? I mean, it's so easy to overdrive it.
Yeah, I don't know. Clayton, I think, might have said it, just trying to, you know, not slide the tires and stuff like this. But, I mean, it was definitely, you know, me and Boyd was out there, like, but it wasn't like we was dominating the race. You had, I think, Eric Kling, I think I was pronouncing his name right. He was digging. He had me worried. He was like 2.5 seconds back from me. You had Clayton, you had Delaney. I mean, this damn field is tight, fellas, and we got a lot of good drivers here. And it's just not me or Boyd or going to win every race. I mean, these other cats, they're going to win a race or two.
Believe it. I mean, there was a lot of competitiveness out there for sure. And I'm glad you feel that way. I mean, that's a good way to look at it for sure.
Yeah, I'm glad. I mean, that's good. That just shows how much the league and how good Kenny and them's doing and everybody. I mean, it's so much fun racing these guys, and I had a really good time racing Jonathan. I give him a lot of room. I was going to race it out with him. I wasn't going to try to pinch him. So, I mean, he slid up into me, but it's racing. I give him enough room. If I'd have been pinching him, he'd have probably wrecked us both. But, you know, on to next week, I guess.
Great job to you, James.
Before we let you go, James, anybody that you'd like to shout out for us tonight?
Yeah, all the boys over at Next Z Sports. You know, we got a big season coming up with us with the Coke Series. We're really going to start pounding that out. The paytowin.com A-Car boys. We got CJ LeVere. We got David Gervais. He's in the league. We got Don Avery. We got some other boys, you know, it's really trying to dig and try to do good. And the A-Car league represent us pretty good. So, and we put out a really good setup this week. You know, it's pretty tough to beat.
And well, thank you as well, James, for taking the time to join us tonight. Good luck next week.
Thank you, man.
What an absolute way to really end out the race tonight. Goodness gracious, that was the most thrilling final 30 or so laps that we've seen all season so far, Brian. No doubt we can expect to see a lot of action coming from Kentucky as well next week.
Oh, I would say so for sure. I mean, these guys are all James said it best. Everybody in this field is really, they've earned their place here. They're all very competitive. It's very stacked. So, I mean, I expect some very close racing at Kentucky for sure.
I do believe then with that is going to be about all the time we have for today. Thank you once again for joining all of us here at the ISCA Stock Car Association ButtKicker Cup Series for the Cheerwine 200 at North Wilkesboro Speedway. I've been Nolan Rempel with Brian Britt bringing you all the action today with Rob Melnick doing a great job behind the cameras as always. Thank you for joining us once again. We'll see you all next week.